Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
Welcome to Ganesh IAS Academy, and the last 3 or 4 lectures, not lectures, like sessions, we just discussed current affairs from uh, like certain subjects like polity, governance, environment, science and tech, and economy. For keeping Prelims 2024 in mind, we just have another week's time to give our prelims exam. So this is just these sessions are just aimed at just having a quick uh, like revision about the topics or the areas that you should not miss, and to kind of slightly predict the areas from which questions can be asked. So as I said, like we have done 4 subjects till now, and then today this session will be the last session. So we'll be focusing on history and culture today. So with that in mind, see, I think like as far as history and culture are concerned, see, yes, you can like expect questions from like current affairs, but I think as far as like history and culture are concerned, you have to focus more on the static aspect of the subject. So maybe I'll just give you some broad, like first I'll just give you some broad overview about how you have to revise history and culture together. History includes like everything ancient, medieval, and like modern. So and then we'll just get into. I have just picked hardly some 20 or 25 current affairs from which you might expect a question. So first we'll like work on the broad framework, then I'll just let you know the things. History, like you can like broadly divide into ancient, medieval, and then modern. So in this, like you can have this approach of chronological approach. So like first you can have the chronological approach. So in chronological approach, so first you will talk about this Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. So first you like read it like this, and then you will like go about civilizations or rulers. So first you will talk about the Harappan civilization, then you will talk about the Rigvedic period, not Rigvedic, Vedic period, later Vedic period, then you will have Mahajanapadas, then you will have Mauryas, after Mauryas you will have Guptas. I'm like just talking about the broad, like very major kingdoms. Like I'm not including the very small kingdoms. Guptas, then post Gupta period. So in post Gupta you'll have Harsha. Like after Mauryas you'll have post Mauryas. Like you'll have a set of foreign like rulers who they come and rule Indian soil. So you'll have Harshas, then you'll have the tripartite struggle. Your tripartite struggle is between your Palas, Chalukyas, and Rashtrakutas, and then you'll have your Delhi Sultanates. In Delhi Sultanate, you will start with like slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, and Lodi dynasty. Slave, Khilji, Tughlaq, Lodi. You have Delhi Sultanates. Then you'll have Mughals. Mughals, you will have Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb. So until Aurangzeb, you have your ancient period starts from your Paleolithic period till your post-Gupta period. So that is your ancient. Your medieval starts with your tripartite till your Aurangzeb period, and then after Aurangzeb you have that post-Mughal kind of phase. Actually, your Aurangzeb will get over by 1707, but like since the start of like 15th, I mean towards the end of 15th century, you'll have the Portuguese. Dutch, French, Danish, and British. So this is the order of the invaders. We like I think the last two, French, British, and Danish. So like that is one order, and then post Mughals, it will start with Bahadur Shah, Jahandar Shah, Farooq Siyar, Ahmad Shah, and then Akbar III. So it will end till another Bahadur Shah. So that like almost get over by like 1857, and then you'll start with the British era. It's not start actually, like you'll start with British era. In British era, you'll have this East India Company phase. Then you will have that East India Company bar state where there will be overlapping, and then you'll have only state role. So this is there, and then you will talk about the Indian national movement. Not Indian national movement. Just we'll talk about freedom struggle. Freedom struggle. You will like talk about pre-Indian National Congress phase, and then Indian National Congress phase. And in your Indian National Congress phase, you will have pre-Gandhian. It's like somewhere between 1857 to 1885, and your INC will start. Indian National Congress will start in 1885, and in your pre-Gandhian will start from like 1885 to 1916 or 1917, and then Gandhian phase. From 1916 to 1947. And then in Gandhian phase, we'll have Champaran, Keda, Ahmedabad mill workers strike. And then Rowlatt Satyagraha. And then you'll have non-cooperation movement. And then you'll have revolutionary terrorism phase 1. Then you'll have civil disobedience movement. Then revolutionary terrorism phase 2. You'll have, like, between Rowlatt and this thing, you'll have World War 1. And after revolutionary terrorism phase 2, you'll have World War 2. You'll have World War 2. Then you'll have individual satyagraha. Quit India movement. And then the final struggle. So, like, chronologically seeing your ancient, medieval, and modern, we can, like, cover it like this. Okay, now for every aspect, say for your ancient history, just make sure that you are prepared along all these lines. The first thing is your ruler. Okay, not the ruler, the kingdom. First, you need to talk about the kingdom, then significant rulers, the administrative setup, the social conditions, your social conditions are nothing but marriage, caste, religion. So in marriage, you can talk about child marriage, widow marriage, widow remarriage, women, language, art, like whatever. And then you have to talk about economic condition. Economic condition, you have to talk about trade, currency, you have trade, currency, agriculture, industry, services, and then any major art, architecture forms. And in economic, you have to talk about revenue, taxation. So all these you have to work. I'm just giving you a broad overview where you can, like, work along, and you can just try to reorient your content along all these lines. So if you do that, This applies for like both your ancient and medieval times. Okay, so your ancient medieval history, you can like work along these lines, and specifically for like your art and architecture, so you have to talk about paintings. If you talk about paintings, dance forms, you have to talk about folk, classical, and then music, martial arts, puppetry, toys, embroidery, and then other cultural heritage, both tangible and intangible, potteries, festivals, and then architecture, cave architecture, temple architecture. So in your temple, you have three: Nagara, Dravidian, and a blend of two, Vishra. Then you have Islamic architecture, Buddhist architecture, Jain architectures. So you have to like work on these lines, and then for like especially your ancient and medieval history, you have to work on terms. I'll give you a few example. See, there's this term called as Kevala Jnana. This is a term that is associated with Jainism, because I think in 2018 prelims there was a term called as Tanakwasi. There was a term that was called as like Stanakwasi, which was mentioned, and it was asked to which of the following religions to which this term is associated with, either Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, or Jainism. So there was a question on this, and like similarly for with respect to, I'm just giving you some examples. Like say for Vedic period, your Nishka is a gold coin, Rigvedic gold coin. Your Satvana and your Krishna Lala, they deal with later Vedic coins. They are like later Vedic coins. So like this, you might expect a question which just gives you the meaning. Every year, there's one question on terms, especially from that. That's like more frequently asked in your ancient and medieval history. So they'll be giving some terms, and they'll ask either your meaning or to which the context in which it belongs. And then I'll just quickly read out your Amatyas, the civil servants in the Mauryan empires. Your Dharmadikaran is the chief justice of the Supreme Court in Mauryan period. And then for Satavahanas, there's a term called as Karshapanas, which is nothing but silver coins during the Satavahana period. And during Harsha period, you have something called as Nilapottu, which are nothing but archives of Harsha. And then during Chola period you have terms like Perundagam and Sirundagam, which are nothing but officials during the Chola period. Then Kaikol Perumpadai is nothing but royal troops in the Chola period. Then Brahmadaya is the lands that were given for the Brahmanas. And then in the Delhi Sultanate period you have Dog, D-O-G-H. You have dog, which is nothing but a method that is used to brand horses. And then Hulia refers to the list of soldiers. And then Barid, it refers to spy or news reporters. And then Ushur, Zagat, Kharaj, Kams, and Kaliza. All these are like types of taxes that were levied during the Delhi Sultanate period. And in Vijayanagara period, you have Amaram, which is nothing but land that is given to Poligas and Nayakas. And then Ashtadigajas are nothing but 8 learned literary persons in the Vijayanagar period. And then in Maratha period, you have Peshava, who was the prime minister and the finance and the head of general administration. And then Amatya was an accountant general. Vaknavis was the official who was dealing with intelligence and household. Sumanta is the one who deals with ceremonies. In Mughal period, you have Diwani Rasalat, who deals with foreign affairs. And then Diwani Insha, who deals with communication. And then during Akbar period, the terms like Ibadat Khana, which is the house of worship, and Din Ilahi was a new religion that was discovered by Akbar. And then during the Maratha period, you have Majumdars, who are called the accountants. And then Vakinavis, who was the head of intelligence and home affairs. Swaranjam is the kind of the revenue grant. And during British period, you have a term called as Jotidars. There's nothing but in rural areas, these are people who are like very influential than the zamindars. So like this, you need to focus on terms. And then one more art form is like numismatics. Yeah, numismatics. So numismatics, you need to work. Numismatics was asked once, I think in 2018 prelims. See, not in prelims, in mains, numismatics was asked. You need to work on those. And then for modern India, you have to work on press and organizations. Like I'll just read out a few presses for you. Your Bengal Gazette was the first gazette in India. It came in 1780 and it was founded by James Augustus Hickey. And then Darpan was from Bal Shastri Jambedkar. Miratul Akbar by Rajaram Mohan Roy. Voice of India by Tatabai Nauroji. Amrita Bazar Patrika by Sisir Kumar Josh and Motilal Josh. Indian Mirror by Narendranath Sen. Kesari by Balagangadhar Tilak. Maratha by Tilak. Asiatic Home in Vedas and Gita Rajasya by Tilak. Hindustan and Advocate by G.P. Verma. Gulamgiri by Jyotiba Phule. Prabhakar by Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Satyat Prakash by Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Kal is a Maharashtra. It's a revolutionary. It's a press that promoted revolutionary activity. Bharat Mata by Ajit Singh. Comrade by Muhammad Ali. New India and Commonwealth by Annie Besant. So you have a list of like press journals or newspapers. So like founded by a lot of leaders. So you need to have idea about all those. So that is like press. And then organizations like Bharat Sri Mandal was from Sarla Devi. Swadeshi Samaj was from Rabindranath Tagore. Adi Brahmo Samaj was from Debindranath Tagore. Brahmo Samaj was from Rajaram Mohan Roy. And like this, you have a list of like organizations. So you have to focus on organizations. And then you have to focus on revolts. Revolts, you can like put it as tribal revolt, peasant revolt, and revolts with religious overtones. And then you have to talk about committees and commissions. You have to talk about education, civil service, judiciary, and then yeah, very importantly, the legal or constitutional evolution. Know about the legal or constitutional, like starting from your 1773 Act, and then the 1784 Pitts India Act, 1803 Charter Act, 1813, 1833 Charter Act, 1853 Charter Act, 1858 Government of India Act, 1861 Councils Act, 1891 another Councils Act, 1909 Morley-Minto reforms, 1919 Chelmsford reforms, 1935 Government of India Act of 1935, and then the August offer, Cripps Mission, Cabinet Mission, Wavell Plan, Mountbatten Plan. So I think all these things you need to be very sure, and you need to know about the major provisions of all the acts and the other constitutional like evolution. So that's like very important. So the UPSC has this habit of asking. I think every year one question comes from this legal and constitutional evolution of modern India. You have to work on that also. Okay, so I think I've given you the broad overview for the ancient, medieval, modern, and your art and culture. So if you have studied already, just try to orient your content in these lines so that it becomes easy for you to like have a quick revision. It will be helpful in your mains preparation as well. But if you haven't done, take this as a broad map, I mean broad framework, and then just work along these lines. Yeah, like now we'll go to the current affairs for. We'll just do a very quick discussion on the few current affairs that has. Okay, the first current affair is the World Heritage Site. Recently, like Shantini Ketan from West Bengal was like determined. It was designated as the 41st UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then you need to know about this ICOMOS because it's the organization that recommends for designation of World Heritage Sites. And then you need to know like this is given based on the World Heritage Convention of 1972. And then like in Shantini Ketan, you have different art forms from Japanese, Chinese, Persian, Balinese, Burmese, and Art Deco forms. And then other name is like Patha Bhavana for the Shantini Ketan. And then you need to know about the other World Heritage sites because you after Shantini Ketan you had Chennakeshwara Temple, Hoyshaleshwara Temple, and Keshava Temple. All these three were designated as like World Heritage sites subsequently. All these three were like put together the 42nd UNESCO World Heritage Site. So you need to know something about these temples, their architecture, the kind of material that is used, under whose like time period, under whose rule, or under whose rule this was built, and what is the cultural significance. So all these things you need to know. So next is your Konark Sun Temple. Konark Sun Temple is also called as Black Pagoda. It is like present in Odisha. So in Odisha, and one of the reason why this is mentioned in news is because it was showcased in G20 summit, and it was like built during the 13th century period of Eastern Ganga King Narasimha I. And then you need to know about the other sun temples. Your Matan Sun Temple is in Jammu Kashmir, and then your Surya Prahar is in Assam. Your Modira is in Gujarat, and Suryanar Koil in Tamil Nadu. So it's like quite possible that they might like ask you in match the following, like they might give you a few like sun temples on one side and the states or the regions in which they are present on the other side. And then you need to know about the Jyotirlingas. What is Jyotirlinga first you need to know, and then what are the other Jyotirlingas? Like your Rameshwaram, Kashi Vishwanath, Somnath, and Omkareshwar. All these are like your Jyotirlingas temples. And then next is your Mohenjo-daro Dancing Girl. It was projected in the International Expo in International Museum Expo in New Delhi. And the theme for this year's International Museum Expo was Museum Sustainability and Well-being. And then Mohenjo-daro, like with respect to Mohenjo-daro Dancing Girl, you need to know that is a part of the Harappan civilization, and the dancing girl is found in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. And they need to know what is a lost wax technique. Your lost wax technique is nothing but you use the candle melt to create structures. So that is your lost wax technique. And then you need to know about what is this Chennapatnam art style. So if you know all these, I think that is enough for this current affair. And then recently the world's tallest Nataraja statue was installed in the Bharat Mandapam. Your Bharat Mandapam is a place in New Delhi where your G20 summit took place last year. And then again, this unit here, you need to know about what is this lost wax method. And then you need to know about the evolution of this Nataraja statue. First, it originated during the Pallava period, but later it gained prominence and was patronized by the Chola rulers. And then one extension is you need to know the list of Chola rulers, at least reasonably the popular ones. Vijayalaya, Parantaka one, Rajaraja, Rajendra Chola, and Kulotunga. All these are very prominent ones. And then you need to know about the cities of Tanjavur, especially on the map, because UPSC generally asks questions like which of the following are ports of Tanjavur. Sometimes you need not port cities of Tanjavur, and sometimes you need not know all the port cities. But if you know which are coastal, which are landlocked, if you have that idea, then you will be able to answer that question. So I think you need to know about the cities. I think this is one of the inclusion that I should be doing when you read about kingdoms. You need to know about the prominent places and their location on the maps, whether it's situated on the bank of rivers or whether it's the coastal region, whether it has a port or not. I think if you read it with a map, then your history becomes very easy. You will definitely get one or two questions from history which are associated with maps. And then with respect to, as I said, the other when we discuss the broad framework, I think you need to, for Chola Empire, you need to work on the administration, language, social, and religious conditions. So this is your Nataraja statue, and each part of the Nataraja statue has some meaning. So it's important that you know those meanings as well. Next is the other cultural traditions that were mentioned or represented in your G20. So the theme for G20 this year is Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, and you had other tribal art and artifacts which were represented there. You had Pithora paintings, Angora and Pashmina shawls, and gold paintings. So you just have some idea about the painting style. You need to know about the painting style, the region, people who are involved, and what is the cultural significance of those paintings. So you need to have idea about all that. And then you need to know, and then manuscripts that were represented were these Rigvedic and Ashtadyadi. So that is that was also presented there. And then democracy in Indian history is Sabha and Samiti in Atharva Veda, and republican states is the Lichavi state, and republican state in Lichavi state. So all these are the cultural traditions that were represented in G20. So if you are lucky enough, you might be able to get one or two questions from the areas that are not direct questions, but the areas that I've mentioned here, because this is something very significant, and India takes a lot of pride in conducting the G20 summit last year. So you need to have some this area is something very important. And then UNESCO's creative cities network. So recently, your Gwalior is a city of music, and Kozhikode for city of literature were designated for your UNESCO creative cities network. And then you have the other cities. It's Mumbai, Chennai, Varanasi, Jaipur, Hyderabad, and Srinagar. And then this United Nations UNESCO's creative cities network. It was started since 2004. So this recognition is granted since 2004, and then one of the important outcomes of designating UNESCO's a creative cities network is it boosts tourism. It actually gives international recognition to the cultural and the art forms that are prevalent in that particular city. So this is something that promotes tourism and indirectly it creates job opportunities and it's like conducive for the economic growth. And then you need to know about UNESCO, like where is UNESCO situated, what is its mandate, what are the areas that it works, what are the reports that are released by it, where is its headquarters, what is the nature of funding, that's like voluntary or like compulsory. So if you like work along all these lines, I think this current affair is something that can be like covered. And then this Tankai method. See, this Tankai method is an ancient stitch shipbuilding method. So recently, our Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Navy, they both had like collaborated to reinvent the technique of like building stitch ships. So this is the technique is like from the Ajanta painting of a stitched ship, and it's the part of Project Mosam. So this Project Mosam is nothing but this is a project by the government of India that seeks to like revive the traditional and the cultural links between India and the other Indian Ocean nations. So that is like Project Mosam. So this Tankai method is a part of Project Mosam. And then since this is something to deal with your coast, so you might expect some say, port cities. So I just recommend you to like have a list of the port cities, like say the western coast and the eastern coast. If you know which cities are located on the western coast or which cities are located on the eastern coast and which are landlocked cities, if you have that idea and like I think you'll be able to at least eliminate like two or three options in your one or two options in your question. So that increases the probability of you getting um, your answer right is like more. And then you need to like know about the ancient trade routes, the Red Sea trade route, and then the Silk Route. So for this current affair, like if you work on these lines, it's like fine. And then these are some of the paintings that were like mentioned in news. Your back print Pannamalai, Cheria scroll and Pichawai. You need to work along like all these. So these are like some of the paintings that were mentioned in news. So apart from that, whatever is mentioned in your book, either the NCRT book or Nitin Singhania or whichever book you follow, so like try to like read. You need not memorize. Be exposed to a lot of painting varieties and the origin state and the kind of painting that is done. So next is your Garba. It's like UNESCO's like intangible cultural heritage site. It's a kind of a folk dance that celebrates the feminine energy, the Shakti. It's based on the 2003 Convention for Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage. So like I've just put up, this is from a newspaper clip. So we just this I do not know whether if it's like visible in the screen well. So these are some of the intangible cultural heritage. Your Kuriyatam from Kerala, Raman from Garhwal region, Kalbelia from Rajasthan, your Vedic chanting, your Mudiyattu from Kerala, your Buddhist chanting of Ladakh, your Navgros and Ram Leela. So these are like the other thing and something about Garba. So these are like other dance forms. Your Chamla dance, which is like the Tibetan Buddhist dance, and the Kulkali dance and the Pulikali dance. So I think these are like some of the dance forms that were mentioned in news. So your Garba and this has no connection, but since everything is a dance like a variety that was mentioned in news, I have just clubbed them together. And then your Kiladi excavation site. This is like something that's there in news for the past like 5 or 6 years. Like as of now, the UPSC hasn't asked any question on Kiladi directly, but it's like important that you know it's like found on the banks of the river of banks of Vaigi River, and then it represents the period from like the Iron Age to the early historic period, and some features are like it has an urban kind of civilization. You have presence of industries, you have Brahmi script, Tamil language, and it belongs to part of the Sangam age. And the other sites are like Porpani Kotte and Adichanallur. where recently you have like studies going on, and then you have this Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic sites in Tamil Nadu. Um, like you need to have some idea about like all these three like kinds of site varieties which are there in Tamil Nadu. And then this is like next is like I think for the next 3 or 4 slides we'll have something regarding the birth anniversaries, which are you have a lot of every year you have a lot of birth anniversaries, but we are just going to take only the prominent ones like the 500, 525th, 175, 125, 100, 50. So we'll just take birth anniversaries only like that, because UPSC goes in for like birth anniversaries like that. So your Saint Mirabai, like last year was her 525th birth anniversary. So like she was a bhakti saint, Hindu mystic poet, and she was a Lord Lord Krishna devotee. And this is like she's associated with like bhakti movement. So bhakti movement, you have two types of bhaktis, where you have saguna bhakti and nirguna bhakti. Where your saguna bhakti, it focuses on like idol worship, whereas your nirguna bhakti, it doesn't have anything idol worship, but it refers to like praising God in like some form or the other. And then with respect to like bhakti movement, you need to know about the alvars, nayanmas, or the regional bhakti movements like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from West Bengal, your Ramadev Tukaram from your Maharashtra. um, so and you need to know what Maharashtra Dhamma is, and then how the Maharashtra Dhamma was played the background for the rise of Maratha nationalism. So all those things you need to know. Next is your Rani Durgavati. It's her like 500th birth anniversary. She belonged to Chandela dynasty, and like whenever you have Chandela dynasty, you need to like work on founders, rulers, cities, regions, social and economic conditions, and you need to know what are the significant like art and architecture that was like prevalent during their period. And then you need to know about one major reason which I forgot to tell when I gave you that broad framework, is nothing but your reasons for the decline of your dynasty. Either it can be natural or political, social, economical, or whatever reason it may be. So you need to know that what are the reasons for their like decline. And then with respect to Chhatrapati Shivaji, it's not his birth anniversary, but it was 350th year anniversary of his Raigad fort raid. Sorry, like I forgot to mention the word raid. So like he belongs to this Marathas kingdom. So like as I said, you need to know about the administration, social, economic conditions, and then the military organization that was like prevalent, and then the regional rulers, your Peshawars, your Bonsales, Gaekwads, Indias, and you need to know who are all those regional rulers and to which all cities or regions they belong to. And then you need to know about the Ashtapradhan Mandris, a few and their names. So, for instance, your Peshawar is your prime minister, your Senapati is your head of your military, and then you have Mazumdar. Next is like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and it was his 125th birth anniversary. And then he was a civil servant, journalist, educationist, and a social reformer. And like he interpreted the Holy Quran in Islam as something that supported the spirit of inquiry. And then his other writings were he wrote a commemorative writing on the Holy Bible, and in the Aligarh Institute Gazette. And his contribution to the national movement is he encouraged the Islamic community to not participate in the national movement. And he is someone who is considered to be the pioneer of the foundation of the the two nation theory. So if you like follow along all these lines, it's like enough. And then these are like some other anniversaries. Like it's your 200th birth anniversary of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and 150th of like Sir Aurobindo Ghosh, and 150th anniversary of Alluri Sitaramaraju. And like based on this, Alluri Sitaramaraju is that your RRR was returned. So since it's like 2 years since your RRR has released, UPSC can ask question on Like you have some probability of question being asked on Alluri Sitaramaraju, and then this Rampa Rebellion is something that is associated with him. So 100 years of Rampa, 120 years of like Alluri Sitaramaraju, and then you have 2 years of RRR. UPSC has this habit of asking current affairs which are like 2 years old. So if you put everything together, you might expect a question on some of the areas that I've discussed. Next is your Bisra Munda. Bisra Munda, and you need to know about his birthplace, his social reforms, what is his Ulgulan movement. This was asked once, I think in 2020. Prelims this term was asked. This Ulgulan movement. I don't know, 20 or 18, like somewhere, but these 2 years, a question was asked. And then you have to know about any significant like revolt or the other tribal revolts. Since Bisra Munda was someone who was associated with the Chota Nagpur region, you need to know about the other tribal revolts in the Chota Nagpur region or the tribal revolts in the northeast region. So you need not like work much, just a revolt, the region, and the cause. I think if you work on these 3 lines, it's like more than sufficient. Next is your project Udbhav. It is to integrate your ancient Indian wisdom with your military like pedagogy to your current modern military pedagogy, and it was done at the Indian Military Heritage Festival. And Indian Army and United Service Institution of India like have like collaborated to revive your ancient Indian military tactics to your current modern military systems. Really project Udbhav. And then you need to know about the UN World Tourism Organization. The Doro village of Gujarat is declared as the best tourism village. You need to know about what is this World Tourism Organization, where it is located. It's in Madrid, Spain. It was established in the year 1975. What are the objectives of World Trade Organization, and what are the how many members are there, whether India is a member or not. I think all these aspects you need to know. And then Khelo Paralympics. I think since 2021, UPSC has started asking questions from sports. I think in 21 there was a question. There were 2 questions on sport. One was related to Formula Car racing, and one was related to the World Chess Championship, because that was the year when a World Test Championship was introduced in 21. If I'm not wrong, yes, in 21 prelims there was a question on World Test Championship. So going by that, since you had your T20, World Cup, ICC 50 over World Cup last year, and you have your T20 World Cup that is coming up, like which is happening right now, and then you had your World Test Championship last year. So you might again expect a question on like sports. So this is something to do with your Kerala, Khelo Paralympics, and this is the first time we have a Khelo India program for Paralympics. Last year in 2023 we had this, and Haryana was the topper. And then now you need to know about Khelo India games. What is its purpose, objectives? What are the like outcomes of Khelo India programs? And we had like around 11 editions so far. And next is your like ICC Test Championship. So your final was between Australia and India, and Australia had like won. Totally there will be 9 teams. In 9 teams, like everybody will like get to play at least like 6 series. 3 series will be like home series, and 3 series will be abroad. So based on the number of matches that you win, like you'll be given points. One difference between your previous Test Championship 2021 and 23, the difference between like those two is in 2021 you had points given for the number of series that you win. I mean, like it was given for the series that you win. It doesn't matter whether that's a 3-match series or a 2-match series or a 4-match series or a 5-match series. But now, like what they've done is that was trying to create a and was creating parity between nations, because each countries play different number of games, or like different series. They might play say similar number of series, but they might have played different number of matches. So for this year's for the previous year's 2023 edition, they had actually they were awarding points based on the number of matches that they win. So like that's the like thing here. And then you need to know about the Cricket World Cup, because India had hosted the ICC 50 over cricket World Cup last year, and I don't think like many would have forgotten about this November 19 match between Australia and India in Ahmedabad. Like that's um, something very concerning even now, even today. But it's from UPSC point of view, they might ask you a question on that also. And then you need to know about certain technologies that were used. Your DRS is your decision review system, and your virtual assistant referee. So you just know what are the terms that are used, and your like last is last. Your last current affair is your GA tag. Like it comes under your TRIPS agreement. It's for a period of like 10 years. Your first GA tag was given for Darjeeling tea, and the states with like maximum number of like GA tags is it's like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, UP, Kerala have large number of things, and then you have the geographical indications of goods act. Like I forgot to mention the year, like 1999. So I think recently, I think over the last 12 or 10 or 12 months, you would have had a lot of GA tags that was like given by the government. So you need to like know the not every GA tag you need to know, just know the prominent ones which are very popular. I think if you like work on these lines, I mean like these are like some very short and crisp current affairs that I felt that can be asked. And like the other aspects, just the other area like where you can expect question is your bhakti moment, your literatures, your schools of philosophies, like your schools of philosophies you can like give it into orthodox and heterodox. And in your orthodox you'll have Samakya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimasa. And in heterodox you'll have this Buddhists, Jainism, and Charvaka. And the Charvaka is like it was from Bispati. It is also called as like Lokayakta school. It's against the concept of God, and it has a materialistic view to salvation. So yeah, so this is what like I have to tell with respect to history is concerned. So as far as like current affairs is concerned, you have like very little scope for question to be asked from like current affairs, but somehow directly or indirectly you can expect questions from anniversaries. Like I think that like recently I just touched upon at least like 4 or 5 anniversaries, and then from the charter acts, terms, literatures. I think if you just work along the lines that are mentioned here, I think that will be more than enough. You can like cover at least like you can expect around 20 questions, 15 to 20 questions from history and art and culture. You'll be able to like answer at least 10 to 12 questions, at least like 10 to 15 questions from the areas that I have mentioned. So I think with this we have like come to the end of the